rehabilitation exercises for the shoulder, or just any rehab exercises in general, have always been really boring for me. If I can't kill two birds with one stone, I find that it's just basically not fun. And some will argue that if you don't do the stuff that are not fun, you're not going to get better. And I always try to find a way to optimize my training because I want to be able to do Olympic lifting in the future, something I want to get into. I'm having this shoulder issue, and I know that if I work on upward rotation of the scapula, if I work on improved serratus activation so that my scapula can get pulled forward, with this sort of with these overhead squats, I know it's going to help my shoulder issue that I've been dealing with. At the same time, I get to be able to help kind of get some carryover into Olympic lifting when I get into that in the future, but also just sort of, have some fun with it, because my thing is I love working on the challenge of being able to get better at a movement. And this is a pretty challenging movement, doing an overhead squat. And a lot of the time when I do these kind of workouts, I call them like fuck around workouts, where I essentially just kind of experiment, listen to my body, see where I'm having trouble, mobilize, stretch, foam roll, whatever, and then see what works. You can see here I'm stretching out my lats, trying to get a better upper rotation of the shoulders, kind of shrugging into the pull-up bar. And then here I was doing some Klokov presses. This is a great exercise that's recommended by Brendan Lilly of the Cube. And Klokov is just a fucking boss, and that dude's freaking awesome. And you can see how you're just grabbing really wide and essentially doing a behind the neck press. But it's sort of more than that, because I'm actively gripping the bar while trying to pull the bar apart. And what this allows me to do is it allows me to actively use my upper rotators of my scapula, and allows me to essentially use sort of the upward shrugging movement to strengthen some muscles. And so this is kind of the next thing that I do when I'm having some restriction and trying to work myself up to a PR for overhead squat, is I foam roll my lats, teres major, all those sections that attach to the tricep upper arm area, and then of course the serratus anterior, which is essentially on the ribs. And what this will allow me to do is it allows me to pull my scapula forward and kind of shrug up a little bit better in a stable position. Because the main thing when you're trying to do an overhead squat or any overhead movement, you want to be able to tap into those external rotators for stability. Smashing the triceps is one of the most painful things to do, and you can see me doing it here, getting the long head, which is towards the inside of the arm. And then I further experiment with sort of upright, basically shrugging my arms up, because a lot of the time when you can't shrug your arms up, or at least when I can't shrug my arms up, the compensation is going to happen is my neck is going to get pulled forward. I'm going to have a tendency to dump my shoulders forward because I can't quite upperly rotate without having to dump forward because of a tight pec minor. And trying to use these muscles and just trying to activate them, because a lot of the time, sure, there's tightness, sure, there's weakness, but the thing that's the biggest concern is really more about motor control, and that's the biggest challenge, is trying to teach your body to tap into muscles that you don't use. Or at least you don't use in this certain way. In this case, the overhead squat. Here I lose my balance. And just trying to work on this, I mean, you can see, like I'm doing this Klokov press, and the thing, the problem I'm having is that I can't get my, I'm not getting enough of a shrug. And some will say that I shouldn't shrug. I know that I remember in mobility, a supple Leopard, he says not to dump your shoulder forward and go into internal rotation overhead. So don't misunderstand this, because I used to think this too, that if you shouldn't shrug high when you're pressing above your head, and that's not true. You want to shrug when you're above your head. You just don't want your shoulder to dump forward, and that's the big thing. That's where you lose. That's where you lose tightness, where you can dislocate your shoulder, but I'm not worried about that, because I'm going to have wrist pain and shoulder pain before anything dislocates, because my muscles are so tight. I'm so wound up. This is, I think, a snatch balance is what it's called. Just kind of combining a kind of an overhead squat push press while going into a squat. Those white plates are about 11 pounds each, about 67 pounds. And then I put the belt on, so that way I can start working for a PR, because I can't really deadlift heavy, or I've kind of been backing off a little bit because of my shoulder issue. So what I've decided to do is, why not just overhead squat? I know it sort of doesn't make any sense, but the weight is not heavy. It's really just challenging from a position standpoint, and not so much from a muscular having to move maximal weight. And this is the biggest challenge here. Here is 88 pounds, or 10, 20, 30, 40 kilos. And just trying to get down into that squat position. You can see that how my knees kind of want to dump forward a little bit, because that allows me to stay more upright. And this is just, I always wonder, like when I go down, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to even get back up, because the biggest stressor also is the wrist. And here's a PR for me. I believe this is 50 kilos, 50 kilos, and I missed this first attempt. I'm always amazed for people that can do this stuff. It's just really amazing. I don't know. I mean, obviously they've been doing it for years as far as being able to be flexible, and I have only been doing really overhead movements for basically less than 2 years. So, and I've been training, you know, I've been a coach for a really long time, so 10 plus 14 years. And here is my PR. It's nice and slow. You can see my left heel come off the ground. And there you go. That's what I'm talking about. A PR, not a lot of weight, but definitely a big win for me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the Broken Leopard series. I'll usually make a video like this maybe once every 6 weeks or something like that. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.